Hello and welcome to the United Stand Christmas Ramble, something a little bit different, but we are going to talk Victor Lindelof because that is the big news. But this was planned in this lunch day, the Wednesday before Christmas, something a little bit different for you to have a little ramble with Goldbridge and my little friend, where is it? Robbie the dog, named after Robbie Savage because it's got crap hair and crap's full of shit actually. But Victor Lindelof, 22 years of age, will be with you for a little bit, so drop us a like and get commenting. Victor Lindelof, we talked about him last night. I'm going to talk about him tomorrow at 8:30 on the transfer special, but we'll talk about him on the ramble as well. I've got my boots on as well. It's muddy today but lovely and crisp. 22 years of age, 6'2", plays for Benfica, moved over there as a teenager from Sweden international. I'm going to say, look, you know, when it comes to Jose Mourinho, he can pick a defender like Michael Carrick picks a pass. I've got total confidence in him that he'll get the right one. I'm sorry, I'm just keeping an eye out for other dogs because that little shit will get mauled by a bigger dog, so I have to keep out for that. But a bit like Vidic will, I think, the new Vidic, a bit like Lindelof will, I think, to the Premier League. I think he'll be well suited to it. He's very combative. Already people are talking about being a new sort of Vidic. And you know what? £38 million, I'm sure we're being laughed at by our rivals, but does it really bother you? Because it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me in the slightest because we can afford it. And again, I think it's a bit of a signing like Bailly that nobody will know a hell of a lot about. But I've got total confidence in the signing. I really have. I think Mourinho, when it comes to defenders, he knows what he's doing. This Lindelof's been mentioned for a while. Draughty Devil mentioned him in the summer. I'm not going to pretend I know loads about him. I'm not going to say, you know, I know anything about him really other than the little bits I've gathered. I'm not going to go by stats. You know where I stand on stat, people. I think it's a load of rubbish. And I really do think that is the case when it comes to him. He's been playing in Portugal, Benfica. And obviously the Swedish football is something to go by slightly, but ultimately he's been playing. So what if how many aerial duels he's won or how many forward passes he does? It doesn't mean anything. The reality is Mourinho's been and seen him. We haven't. I trust Mourinho, and I think he will get it right. And I'm very excited by the signing because I think we need a dominant centre-back who will do really well. Just going to give you this little scene behind me because it's quite nice for a minute. I'll stop here. So yeah, very, very happy about it, not concerned about the price, and I think he'll suit us perfectly. It does pose the question of how many centre-backs we have. Obviously we've got Jones and Rojo performing very well. Bays streaks ahead of all of them, and then you've got Smalling. Maybe Smalling might be the one to go. I do have concerns about Smalling and Shaw, but we'll just have to see what happens with that. But I'm very happy with that signing. I think it's really good, and I think it will do really well. I think it will do really well for us. And like I say, I trust Mourinho when it comes to centre backs. And yet again, like the summer, you know, I think there was a bit of a red herring the other day when it was like we won't be signing anybody in the January transfer window. Everybody knows that Mourinho is probably going to take 2 or 3 transfer windows to get it right, probably 3. He's not going to waste one when you can go and sign somebody. And United can sign anybody. I mean, we had the Liverpool and the Bitters on last night on the show, didn't we, saying, you know, United have finished. United can sign whoever they want, whenever they want, and we've proved that time and time again. But with Mourinho, I think he will sign the right ones. And with 4 signings in the summer that have all been absolutely superb, I really do think he'll get this one right as well. So very excited about it, and I expect it to be done in early January because we don't have Bailly. So we need that to obviously happen, don't we? Oh, let's have a little wander up here. Come on, Robbie. Better lighting as well, you see. I might go into the woods a bit. The only trouble is, as you can see, there's a hell of a lot of leaves around. Really, people should pick them up, but clear them up. But yeah. In fact, I just saw Michael Owen a minute ago, looking at some roadkill, boring twat. But yes, what else did I want to talk about? There's quite a few things I want to talk about, and you're still there. Happy with United, really happy with what we're doing. Not concerned about any team above us because the season's not over till May, and I think a lot of people are running away with themselves. I saw an interesting stat today over the last 5 seasons about who's top at Christmas, and I think out of the last 6 seasons, 4 of the teams that have been top at Christmas have won it, and nobody's had a bigger gap as what Chelsea have got at this stage of the season, which is 6 points. Funnily enough, one of the teams that were top of the table at Christmas that didn't win the league was Liverpool. But no, I'm not concerned. I think where we were a couple of weeks ago, a lot of us, me included, thought top 4 was gone when Fellaini did that stupid thing against Everton. But there was a dead pigeon there. That wasn't the case, obviously. We've got back with 3 very good wins. We've got 2 very winnable games at home. We've got Liverpool coming up very soon at home. So it's just about chipping away for me. Yeah, I'd like us to be top 4 now, but from where we've come from, I've just seen a squirrel. From where we've come from, I'm very happy. I'm gonna have a wander through these trees. Fellaini's family. So yeah, very, very happy with United, and it is all about chipping away. And it might take us till February to get top 4. It might take us till the middle of January. It might happen New Year's Day, who knows, but it will happen for sure. Fellaini apparently has come out and said that he's thinking about leaving Manchester United because he... Actually, you know what, let's just wait a minute. He's thinking about leaving Manchester United because he's not in the first team. Don't think about it, go. I've got a lot of time off over Christmas, and I'm sure a lot of you have. And if he wants to lift anywhere, you know, even if it's a waste of time, and even if, you know, if he wants to go up to Sunderland, down to West Ham, and a little trip over to Italy, I'll drive him there, and I'm sure we'll all chip in for the petrol, and he can think it over. As long as he's going to go, that's all that matters. He's got to go. I don't think he will. Everyone knows I want him to go, but I don't think he will. I'm slowing down a little bit because it's Christmas, and a Christmas ramble wouldn't be a Christmas ramble without a quality street. So yeah, hopefully Fellaini will go. The next thing I want to talk about, probably take me a minute or two, is a winter break. I'm on my winter break at the moment. I've broken up for Christmas, and beautiful it is. Apart from all these leaves on the floor, which I say somebody needs to come and pick them up. I'll be putting a complaint in about that. But Christmas for me is a time for family, la-di-da. It really is, and I enjoy it. But if somebody took away my football, I would be devastated. Absolutely devastated. I don't want a winter break. Football has been going on for many years, decades, century. People, even when I was younger, I remember a few teams that used to play Boxing Day, and then I feel like I've got eyes on me. Probably Red Men TV after all that shit I gave them last night. Teams used to play one day and then the other very recently. If you look back on especially Championship, that's happened a lot. I just think it's namby-pamby. At the end of the day, football's for the fans. Fans are entertained by... Fans are there to be entertained, is what I was going to say. And we want to be entertained, don't we? We want to have entertainment. I mean, imagine Christmas with no football, or even a winter break of any... What's the point in a winter break unless it's to accommodate these footballers who are paid massive amounts, even as low... You've got your Premier League in England, you've got the Championship, you've got League One and League Two. And even if you're down in League Two, you're probably earning a few grand a week playing for some small little team. So there's a lot of money in football. You're there to entertain. You cannot withdraw football over winter just because you want a little bit of break. You get enough of a break as it is. You get a fantastic lifestyle. You get to live the dream many of us would love to have. Don't take our football away at the winter break. Massively, no, no, no. And I don't, you know, again, I've disagreed with Mourinho about Fellaini, so I will disagree with him when I don't agree with him. And I don't agree with having a winter break. I think it's an absolute farce, waste of a time. The only argument I've ever seen for a winter break was it would help our international side. It won't help our international side. The only thing that would help England international side is the FA being totally reformed and getting rid of the absolute archaic people who run it. We've not won the title. We've not won a major tournament in international football since 1966. That's nothing to do with an international break. That's to do with bad appointments, keeping the status quo, and just maintaining a brand that makes a hell of a lot of money. That's England FA for you. It's nothing to do with a winter break. So what does a winter break do to fans other than deprive us of football again? I don't know about you, but when the season starts, I'm very excited because you haven't had football for 2 or 3 months, obviously between May and August. The season kicks in, you just get going, 2 or 3 weeks in, international break. They come back again, 3 weeks later, international break. They come back again, international break. We've got 3 international breaks that just stunt the flow of the season before Christmas. We get another one in March, then it's the summer again. Then they want to throw in a winter break. No, not for me. I don't want one. I don't want one, and I'd be interested to see what you lot think, because actually when it comes to that, I've got no sympathy for the players, the managers or anything like that. Get on and do the job that you paid extremely well to do and entertain the fans, and we love football at Christmas. So yeah, really enjoyed that conversation. I think there was a few other things I did want to talk about, but I'm enjoying this ramble, and I hope you all are as well. I can't actually see what the viewing figures are for it, but do drop a like if you're enjoying it. I know not all of you will be able to watch it live because it is midday on a Tuesday. I think I said Wednesday before. It's not Wednesday yet, but hopefully you will enjoy it later on when you do get to watch it, because a lot of you've said you liked these, and I've not had a drink today. No, it's quite early. A lot of you have said in the past that you do like these little rambles or little walks and talks, so I thought, being festive, let's try a United ramble at Christmas, and if you like it, we can do more of them in the new year, because we're always looking for new content, and you know, my Wi-Fi is very good, so it works well. And Robbie always needs a walk, just like Robbie off Arsenal Fan TV, but he needs a walk. But yeah, I'm very happy with United. I didn't expect to be in this situation as we approach Christmas, to be honest, but I'm very, very happy with what we're doing, where we're going. I was always happy with the manager. All 4 signings have been fantastic. The football has been good at times. When you look at Stoke and Burnley games, we played very, very well, just like we did against Leicester when we did win 4-1. Same against West Ham, same against Arsenal. Just couldn't put the balls in the back of the net, and I think we'll learn from that. And I've said this before, the results we've had in the last week have really impressed me, because yeah, we could have won 5 or 6-0, but actually I'd rather we held a 1-0 lead like we did against Spurs for virtually a whole game. Well, not a whole game, but you know what I mean. We held on for the last 20 minutes, which is something we haven't been doing. And then you go away to Palace, we get that 1-0 lead, they create a chance, they get 1-1, and then we win it late on. Again, it's showing that, you know, coming from not from behind, but showing a character to come back when a team gets back in against you. And then West Brom's a very difficult place to go. I think we'll see West Brom have got Arsenal over Christmas. Always difficult with Christmas games, because if you're away, I think teams get into a mentality and it's quite easy to turn them over, and I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal won it 3-0, but on the other hand, West Brom are a decent side. I wouldn't be surprised if they frustrated them. I did want to talk a little bit about the year gone by, because I think when you get to this time of the year, although it's, you know, it's halfway through a football season, it is at the end of a calendar year, and it's almost a better time because it gets to May, and you know, so the calendar year has been quite interesting. It was around this time last year that Jose Mourinho got sacked, and somebody tagged me. I mean, I'm not in for deleting tweets. If you put it out, you put it out, and if people want to have a pop at me for things I've said in the past, and there will be stuff out there, I'll justify it as like I'm about to with this. About a year ago, Alex and me were talking on Twitter about Mourinho being the next Manchester United manager, because he got sacked a year ago, but also it was around this time where I totally, and a lot of people, decided that Van Gaal just wasn't good enough for Manchester United and he had to go. And I think Alex is a big fan of Mourinho, and he was like, what about Mourinho? And at that stage, I don't think anybody really thought it was possible. Minority obviously did, people like Alex and that, and fair play. But he'd just been sacked by Chelsea, and I just didn't think it, you know, I think I said something on the lines, he's just an LVG clone who doesn't use the youth. Well, I'm half right, he doesn't use the youth, and he needs to prove that. The LVG clone thing, probably a little bit unfair, but at that time I just didn't think Mourinho was the right man for Manchester United, and realistically I didn't really think we could get him. So at Christmas last year, I think Ancelotti was always my number one choice, but he committed to Bayern Munich around this time, and obviously Pep committed to City. As we went into the new year, it became abundantly clear that Mourinho was an option, and that's when I was like, we've got to go for Mourinho. And I know there were some United fans, even up until May, didn't want him, but he's proved them wrong, and I think most of them have been proved wrong, and they've changed their mind. And what's wrong about that? Nothing wrong about that. But the Van Gaal era, I mean, we had him up until May, didn't we? We won an FA Cup. I'd love to win another FA Cup, because I just do feel that I didn't enjoy it as much as I would like to. I really wanted to win it. We'd not won it in a long time, and it was great to win it, but I did have that concern that if we did win it, he was going to stay on. Hindsight's a great thing, and I made the one thing I did want to mention today as well, as I look back on some of the stuff the United stand and I've said over the year. I remember in January I said that I'd visit Old Trafford and kiss every backside if we got top four. I said we're not going to get top four last January, and I was called negative. I'm never willingly negative about Manchester United. Never willingly negative about Manchester United. I just say what I think. And then obviously it got to around April time, and I threw the question out: would you sacrifice top 4 to get Mourinho and get rid of Van Gaal? And a lot of people, as is their right, were like, no, I wouldn't. I want top 4. I always want Manchester United to win. But the reality was, I knew, and a lot of people knew, and it's come out now as fact, that if Manchester United had got top 4 last season, Van Gaal would still be our manager now. And that is why we messed up. That is why we didn't get Renato Sanchez, because ultimately Manchester United, Woodward had been talking about to Mourinho for a long time, probably since around January, and Mourinho wanted the Manchester United job, but Manchester United wouldn't commit to Mourinho other than to say, if we get rid of Van Gaal, the job is yours. But it was a big if, because if Mourinho got top 4, and not if Van Gaal got top 4, we were going to keep him. So the Renato Sanchez was a deal that Sanchez wanted to come to Manchester United, Mourinho wanted Sanchez to Manchester United, but Van Gaal didn't want him. So obviously we were undecided about Van Gaal, and for a long time, probably right up until top 4 was gone. And that's why Bayern Munich came in and they nicked him. So we lost Sanchez, but we would have kept Van Gaal if we'd got top 4. And ultimately, as much as that would have pained me because he wasn't the right man for Manchester United, if we'd got top 4 in an FA Cup, I think a lot of people would have been quite happy with that. And ultimately, as a business, Champions League football and an FA Cup, was it good enough? I don't think so. I think it was his second season. We needed to be challenging for a title, but he would have stayed. They wanted him to stay, so we dodged the bullet there. And ultimately, just to defend myself, I'm happy to have sacrificed top 4 to get rid of Van Gaal, because I look at where we are now, and I don't know where we stand in relation to the points tally of what Moyes had and what Van Gaal had in their first season compared to Mourinho, because it was only 2 or 3 weeks ago when Mourinho was behind them, so he's not going to be far ahead. But this is where, again, I urge you not to fall into this trap of modern football fans where it's all about stats. I hate it. I see these tweets and it gets right on my nerves. Oh, this stat, that stat. I mean, people are making a lot of money out of stats, and it's absolute nonsense, because I can tell you all sorts of stats to make a player look good. You know, Jordan Henderson on stats is probably a decent player when he's shit. But the biggest stat is Mourinho's first season points tally isn't very different. I don't know the exact figures because I'm not into stats, but it's not very different to what Van Gaal and Moyes' first season was. However, the reality is we are playing the better football. We've got the better players, and obviously we're playing in a far more competitive season than Moyes and Van Gaal did. But ultimately it comes back to what I just said there. We are playing the far better football than we did under Moyes and Van Gaal. So stats are a load of rubbish, and going back to the point I was trying to make, I was happy to sacrifice top 4 for Van Gaal going and getting Mourinho, because Mourinho would have took another job in the summer, and this was our chance to get him. And the only way we were going to get him was if Van Gaal didn't get top 4. So as much as people say, I never want United to lose or anything like that, it wasn't really about United losing. It was about United not getting top 4. And ultimately, you can have whatever stance you want. It doesn't make you more of a fan or less of a fan. It's about what you believe in and what's important to you. My stance was short-term pain, long-term gain. If we got in the Champions League this year with Van Gaal, we'd be out of it now. We weren't going to win it. We would have carried on with the same negative football. Under Mourinho, we haven't got Champions League football, but we're building a squad. We're going to be competitive, and we might win the Champions League in the next 3 or 4 years. Never going to happen under Van Gaal. So it's short-term pain for long-term gain, and sometimes you've got to do that. You do have to do it. That's what I very quickly wanted to talk about Chris Smalling, actually, because that's just popped into my mind about something that Alex was talking about with me and Ross this morning, and it's a very good point. Alex was saying that Chris Smalling's probably the one he'd get rid of. Ross was saying, he's really impressed with Rojo. I've given Rojo a lot of stick, we all have, and Phil Jones. But I think Phil Jones is the easier one to explain, because Phil Jones has been at Manchester United since 2011, and nearly 6 years later, this is the first time he's played 6 games in a row, which is appalling. And every United fan's got a right to moan about that. When you're on that sort of money, playing it out, it's not even really about the money. When you're playing for Manchester United, it's a dream. you can't just be playing a couple of games and then getting injured all the time. So whatever Mourinho's done is fantastic. Jones always had the potential. Sir Alex Ferguson said it, even though he said he was the new Duncan Edwards, which was ridiculous. You know, Jones did have the potential, but he's got to play games. He's playing games now. He's got the right manager in charge, and that's working out. The Rojo one is far more impressive because for me, Rojo got criticism from me and a lot of United fans because he just wasn't a defender. He used to get skinned by everybody, like I always say. Cameron Jerome did it. Anybody could do it. And he'd stand off defenders. He'd stand off attackers as well. They'd shoot, they'd score, or they'd put crosses. And there was a few occasions last year, I remember quite distinctly, where crosses had come in the box and it was terrible. But what Mourinho has done, it's not really even rocket science. You can teach a defender these things. He's told him to get tight. He's told him not to stand off when somebody's going to try and get a shot or cross in. And he's told him to be more combative. Now, the downside of that is his actual... look at Robbie. Come on, Robbie. The downside of that is the two-footed tackles and that. But the upside of it is he's taking no nonsense. He's all heart. He's all effort. And ultimately, you know what? A player can change your mind unless they're Aaron Fellaini. The issue with Fellaini is people always throw that back, and it's a good point. Well, why can you change your opinion about Rojo, but you can't change your opinion about Fellaini? It's very simple. I think when you look at Rojo, he's got the raw ingredients to turn him around because the mistakes he was making were all about positional, the way he was defending, etc. That can be taught. The trouble with Fellaini is I could turn Fellaini into a decent player, and I don't know why no one's ever done it. I don't think you can do it for Manchester United because you never want Manchester United to play this way. But if you want to get the best out of Aaron Fellaini, you know, it is Christmas, so let's be a bit giving. If you wanted the best out of Fellaini, I would play him at number 10, and I'd hit him hard with long balls from the fullbacks right on the edge of the box. And he'll cause people problems. He caused Vidic and Ferdinand problems because Leighton Baines and I think it was Coleman at the time, or even Hibbert, they'd hit him with 40-yard accurate balls to the edge of the box where he'd control it on his chest or his head with his big elbows, and he'd bring everybody into play around him. And that is Fellaini's strength. We've never done it at Manchester United. We use him as a defensive midfielder or a midfielder. And the reason Fellaini is crap for Manchester United is he's not a midfielder. He's not a defensive midfielder. He is too slow, and he's got no speed or agility. His passing's poor. His positional sense is poor. He's woefully out of position. But 3 managers have done it. So there you go. A little bit of fairness to Fellaini there on the United stand. If teams want the best out of him, I could see him probably going to Stoke and Moyes using him. It's not Stoke, Sunderland, and Moyes using him in that position, and he'd be quite good. Of course, reality bites with this. Fellaini, Manchester United, we could never have a number 10 like that. You know, you think of Manchester United number 10s, Rooney's and Mkhitaryan maybe, and Mata, Cantona's, people like that. That's Manchester United. It's ball into the feet, it's quick movement, it's short little passes. So Fellaini as a 10 is not something I would ever condone. But I don't know why we've never used him as an impact player off the bench as that sort of player, because the one thing I would say about Fellaini is his chest control is brilliant. If you hit him from 40 yards on the edge of the box, that's his strength. So I've been a bit of a giver there to Fellaini, but I think that is true. But going back to what I was saying about defenders, so Rojo and Jones, I think they've earned a chance to stay till the summer, and I think that they've in a difficult, you know, maybe they weren't in Mourinho's first team plans, but he's had Bailly out injured, Smalling out injured. For whatever reason, he doesn't like Daley Blind as a centre-back. I presume it's probably to do with speed and height. So Jones and Rojo have stepped up to the plate and got him out of prison a lot of times this season when he needed points, and he won't forget that. So I think they've probably got a future at Manchester United. So those two are probably safe. Bailly's obviously safe because it's Mourinho's signing, and he is head and shoulders above everybody else. And let's go through here. And so the two in danger players, if we do sign Lindelof, because you can't have too many centre-backs, and we have got a fantastic youth talent. Well, we've got 2 actually. We've got Roshan Williams, but Axel Twansibi is probably more ready. Daley Blind and Chris Smalling are on the chopping block, I think. So I would say that I would go with Chris Smalling as... what's that all about? I would think Chris Smalling is probably the one in the most danger. Obviously, there's this talk of fallouts with Mourinho. If you bring Lindelof in, I think he's probably going to be... Well, he is Mourinho's signing. But for all those people, me included, who would say, well, Chris Smalling, I still think he's one of the best defenders in England on his day. Alex made a fantastic point, and I'm gonna share it. Smalling played very well. He wasn't very good under Moyes or anybody else. He really came into his own against after that City sending off, but it was Van Gaal's era where Smalling played well. And as I've always said about Blind and Smalling, and my issue with Blind and Smalling was I didn't think they were title-winning centre-backs, is you can't judge them when they're part of a strict regime that Van Gaal ran, specifically 2 CDMs. We don't play with 2 CDMs anymore, so defenders like Bailly and Jones and Rojo, to be fair, they flourish in that because they have to go out and defend. They have to go one-on-one and aerial duels and tackles and you know, be expressive as a centre-back, whereas as a defender under Van Gaal, you always had 2 centre defensive midfielders in front of you protecting you. So you know, maybe that's the Mourinho doesn't play with 2 centre defensive midfielders, so you've not got the protection, so Smalling's got to do. But if anybody is still watching, can you just drop a like on the video, because if that goes up I'll carry on, but if it's frozen like it appears to be, I'll endeth the call and this Christmas ramble, which I've thoroughly enjoyed, and I hope you all have as well. But there's probably more I can talk about. I just want to make sure we're actually working, and like I thought, the likes are not going up, so I wonder if it's stopped working, which is a bit of a shame because I was enjoying doing that. Well, that concludeth what has been a very enjoyable ramble, nearly half an hour's worth. Really enjoyed it, and I hope you all have as well. So drop us a like, give us your comments below. Quite a lot discussed. Really enjoyed doing it though, and we'll be back tomorrow. Wednesday will be Wednesday, not Tuesday, not the fake Wednesday today. So it will be Wednesday at 8:30. We'll be talking transfers live at 8:30, and obviously anything else. But I hope you've enjoyed this, and it might be something we keep in the new year if you have. But thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you all very